Hello and welcome back to the Thrive with Grace podcast. My name is Kat and I am so grateful and elated that you decided to spend some time with me today. We're going to jump right in and we're going to talk about how to set clear, healthy boundaries in the friendship relationship. Oftentimes, we're talking about more of that intimacy between a significant other and their other, but today we're going to actually talk about friendships. So, without further ado, let's dive on in. Have you ever felt drained after having a conversation with someone that you care about and consider a friend? Well, chances are it's probably because you haven't set clear boundaries about where you stand in the friendship. It's not up to that person to look out for you. You, in fact, have to look out for yourself. So if you don't say things like, hey, I'm not comfortable with this conversation, or this is actually not helping me or improving my life, then that person is not going to know how you feel about a certain situation. They're just going to keep talking and yapping and going along with their day because that's why they called you in the first place. Now, if you're starting to feel drained, it might be time for you to go ahead and set those boundaries for yourself. Now, let's talk about why sometimes it's difficult for us to set boundaries in friendships. One, you don't want to be alone. I understand that. It's hard to find friends. That's probably number two. And number three, how do you keep them? If you started the relationship with your friend and the first thing you all had in common was that you had similar backgrounds in relationships, maybe you had similar childhood past, etc., that might be the bond between the two of you that you share. And that is okay. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I am saying that you shouldn't be afraid to express your feelings to that person, especially if you feel strongly that they care about you. There should be no reason why you can't say, hey, I'm not comfortable with this conversation, or I feel like I'm being used. And we'll go over some terms where you won't feel like you're being overly sensitive. I know that's a sensitive topic in itself, which we can cover at a later time, but I want you to no longer be afraid to express your feelings, because guess what? If you're afraid to do so, then chances are that person was never really your friend. You were just their dumping pool, and that is your purpose in their life. They don't really care about what's going on in your life necessarily. They are looking out for themselves, and that's not the type of friendship that you want for yourself. It is not proving that you're loyal to them by not setting boundaries for yourself. That doesn't mean that you're so loyal and oh my gosh, you're so looking to please them, etc., and that's how you show them love. That's not what you are doing. In fact, you are causing chaos within your own personal life. And I want you to focus on giving yourself peace. That is what I want. In friendships as well as personal, significant other relationships, you should have peace. There should not be any chaos or so much negativity going on that you feel drained or emotionally fatigued after you have spoken to that person. If you're at the point where you have expressed yourself and they are still having those taking those actions towards you where they're not listening and they're not respecting your wishes, then dear, I have to tell you that person is not your friend. And you need to go ahead and, let's say you don't want to necessarily end the friendship or anything like that, you need to pull back and pull into yourself and start pouring more into yourself and lessen the amount of time that you are spending with that friend, because they're not serving a purpose in your life. I personally feel that each individual that is in your life should add value to you, one way or another, where it's information, whether it's sensitivity or things of that nature. I feel that they should enrich your life and actually strengthen your life, whether it's your relationship with your family, your relationship with God, spiritual or otherwise. I do strongly feel that your friendships should add value to you. And if they're not, it may be time for you to go ahead and reevaluate. Now, what are some signs that you need to set boundaries within your friendship? We've already covered a big one. If you are feeling drained and emotionally fatigued, then you need to evaluate your friendship. If you feel that your friendship is one sided and you cannot get a word in otherwise, then you need to reevaluate your friendship. If that person is always talking down on you and talking negative, if they're saying things like, oh, you think you're too good to do this or too good to do that, just talking down, you've heard it before, then chances are you need to go ahead and set some boundaries. If you feel like it's always you needing space from them and you feel like you're hiding or scared to express yourself, then chances are you need to set some boundaries. You shouldn't be in a friendship where you don't feel that it's equally contributing to one another, where you're the one that's always encouraging them and it's not going the other way around. I don't think that friendship is serving you. Now, at the end of the day, it is your choice, it is your decision, but I'm just here to remind you that you are allowed to take up space in any relationship that you are in, especially in friendships. You should be allowed to express and be yourself, and your friend should be emotionally intelligent enough to see where you're starting to feel left out of the conversation, and I hate to say such a hard word, but being used. You are not supposed to be being used in a friendship. Now, let's go over how to actually set clear boundaries. One, you need to speak to yourself and just reflect on certain situations that did not serve you and did not benefit you. Look to yourself and ask yourself, what do I need to feel valued in this friendship? What is going to make me know that the individual I'm in a friendship with actually cares about me? Are they empathetic? Are they emotionally intelligent? Are they listening to understand and not just listening to respond? Is it all about them? After you've done that and you've reflected and you've asked yourself what in fact you need, now's the time to actually start speaking up and having conversations with your friend. You can do it in a polite way. I'm not saying being aggressive, but I am saying you need to be assertive. That's what I'm saying. So communicating friendly, say, hey, I really need to talk to you about how I've been feeling lately. You do want to use the word feeling, because that should trigger your friend that, hey, Kat's not feeling up to it right now. Let me see what in fact she's going through because I care about her. It should trigger your friend to actually look to listen to understand you to understand you, because they in fact care about you. So that's what we want to do. You want to sit down face to face. I don't recommend having these types of conversations over the phone unless you're long distance, but hey, they have FaceTime, they have WhatsApp, they have all kind of virtual ways that you can video chat and communicate effectively. I do recommend, that you have these conversations face to face. That way you can actually look that person in the eyes and they can look you in the eyes, and you can check out their body language as well. So after you've done that, I want you to not over explain yourself. Once you've said what you need to say, now's the time to listen, to understand your friend and see what he or she has to say, because maybe they were not noticing that the friendship was draining you. They could have been consumed in dealing with their own problems, their own situations or whatnot, and it could have not have been on purpose, because sometimes we get wrapped into our own world and we don't realize that we're hurting the other person. But I want you to look at their actions. I'm a firm believer that actions speak louder than words. Although words do have depth and they do have power, you still need to look at the actions of the individual and make sure that their actions are aligning with what they said. 9 times out of 10, your friend is going to be apologetic and say, hey, I didn't mean for my actions to come across as such. So we need to check and make sure that their actions are now serving you, benefiting you, and allowing you to see that they truly care about you. Now, I want you to remember that once you've set these boundaries, it's up to you to make sure that they are enforced. Because if you say one thing, your yes needs to be yes and your no needs to be no. You cannot turn around and say, hey, I want you to do this, that, and the third, and then not hold them accountable. If there are certain actions that you want done within your friendship, it is up to you to make sure that they are being completed. Because if you say one thing and do another, your friend is not going to take you seriously. And guess what? You're going to be right back where you started from. So if you're going to be firm, then make sure you stand firm. Okay. Now, once you've had this conversation and your friend has listened to you, if your friend cannot respect your wishes and your feelings, then dear, I have to be honest with you, that is not a friend, and you may want to go ahead and remove yourself from what you thought was this friendship. A friend is not going to shame you for voicing your feelings and expressing your emotions. You will never get shamed. A friendship is actually supposed to be a safe space for you to share how you feel and how you interpret things. So just like you have been a safe space for that person, you in turn deserve that as well. Okay, so I don't want you to feel shamed. I want you to feel safe and secure in whatever friendship you are in. And if you are not, then it's time to go ahead and move on. So in closing, I do hope that this episode was beneficial to you. If you can and if you dare, please share it with someone that needs it. If you feel like someone's being taken advantage of and you just can't find the words to say, please share this podcast with a friend. And as always, your support means everything to me. I appreciate you tuning in, and I love you if no one else has said it. Remember, go with grace and stay with God. Be blessed. Peace.